Welcome to the Light Gate. We are coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans in the state of Louisiana in the USA. We are live to you on the United Public Radio Network at 107.7 FM and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 FM. We are on Roku. We are on Rumble. We're on Facebook and we're on YouTube. It's getting weird around here. I also want to talk about a sponsor that we all have now, and I didn't have anything with me. I've had too many weird things happen to me today, but we have Carnation on board with us, and we're very, very excited about that. It's just starting, and the next time you see me, you'll see me with something Carnation in my hand, so I could tell you all about how great this really is, Carnation Company. I buy all their milk and their powdered stuff and their evaporated and tons of things like breakfast drinks and things. I love Carnation instant milk. Oh, it's good for you. My grandfather drank it when I was little. Anyway, welcome to the crew. We are going to talk about one thing real quick. I want to send a shout out to all the people we know, love, and hold dear, as well as just because we're in the South with you. Everyone in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, who were impacted by the hurricane, please know that we are worried about you, thinking about you, and we know that there's more going on that they're saying on the news. I also want you to know that Florida is about to be hit again by a Cat 5. It is not a good situation. The governor there is doing everything that he can, and we're sending out prayers to everybody. I have 28 relatives there in Tampa, and I'm sending them all my love and my encouragement. Okay, so let's get to it. Hi, Preston.
Hi, Dolly. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in for, this is episode 76 of The Light Gate. I'm your host, Preston Dennett. My lovely co-host is Dolly Saffron. We're so happy to be here this Monday night. And we have an excellent guest who is returning for a repeat visit. He's got some interesting new information that we're going to be talking about tonight. And yeah, like Dolly said, huge shout out to those struggling to survive the aftermath of the recent hurricane. A new one coming up already. It's quite tragic. So for those who can contribute, please do. The news is not telling the full truth about the loss of life going on. It's more than is being publicly revealed, and I know this firsthand from a source. So please pray for all the people who are having a very difficult time right now. Definitely count our blessings. But we are here tonight to help educate the world about what's going on with the UFOs and the paranormal and our censored past and history and all the amazing subjects that don't get enough attention. So thank you very much, you guys, for joining us. I am going to say hello to all you folks in chat because it is because of you we do this show. So thank you so much for joining us. And let's see, who do we have here today? I already see some amazing super chat donations, you guys. Warms my heart every single time. So let's go through this real fast so we can get to our guest right away. We've got Real Badger and we have Racer XYZ. Simon is quite an awesome character. Yes, he is. That's our guest tonight. His show got very good numbers. We're very excited to have him back. We have Peak. Hello, Peak. And the Owl Man and Jay Kirschman, Virginia. Oh my goodness. I hope you did well through this hurricane. Okay, we got Rambo Ma on the East Coast and Linda Catlett. And Sandra is joining us tonight. Hi, Sandra. We've got Chris and Missing 411. Quite a big crowd here today. Awesome. We've got Fung Pei. Good evening, Miss Saffron and audience. I hope all is well with you. We're doing well. I hope you are too. Teresa Levine, Michael Kennedy. My blessing.
Michael is one of those impacted. Please pray for his family and all their people that are around him right now. They're working hard to be okay.
Yes, we have greetings Catherine Fourfeathers. Greetings, Preston, Dolly, and Simon. Looking forward to this episode. They just keep getting better. Oh, Thank you. And the wonderfully generous and beautiful and sweet Heidi Hansen. A very early good morning from Denmark. Greetings to Dolly, Preston, Simon, and all in chat. Here we go for another amazing show. Big hugs. Heidi, you are so kind, so giving. We really adore you. And Star Orchid, you make Mondays exciting. Thank you so much, because that's a big challenge. Mondays are a hard day for many of us who have to work full time. Okay, who else we have here? Louise, greetings from New Jersey. And we have Nick N. And we have Dawn Curtis. And Bob. How you doing, Bob? Thanks for the generous super chat. Makes a huge difference. It's truly appreciated. So thank you. Thank you. Painting the Sky Kingdom. And namaste. Always here. Unbelievably kind of you.
Namaste.
We can always count on you. Thank you so much. All to you. Wow. You guys are being so awesome today. Louise, ready for another enlightening Monday. And we got rat food. Ain't feeling peace. Well, let's bring some peace. We need it. Let's wage peace, not war. Jim, a large hello. Octopus with no friends gives 2 hellos.
Hello.
Catherine Forefeathers from the city of Carnation here in Washington State.
Right.
Yes, Carnation is awesome because you can store, the milk and it will never spoil. So let's see, who else do we have here? We have Susan Lawrence. We have Dean Chaplin all the way from Australia. Quite a lot of you here. Oh my gosh, Michael Kennedy, lots of earthquakes also. Yee.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
Right. Here on the East Coast?
Where the damage is from the hurricane, they've been unbelievable because there was so much water coming down the mountains and those rivers that just came out of nowhere. It's done something. The water's gone all the way down into the fault lines and it's causing earthquakes. Yeah.
Amazing. Wow. Cliff Olinger. We got Janice Conant and Kaleidoscope Eyes, East Tennessee. Yes.
Yes, they are. I know. Highway 26, Morristown, I think, somewhere around that area. We love you guys. We're thinking about you too. I got relatives near you too in Lenore City. So yeah.
And we have Mary Lar and Susan Lawrence praying for those affected by these hurricanes. Jillian, Linda, Dr. Hart. Somebody comes up there and said,
she's my little sister from another mother.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we better get started here. Christopher, Angelica Weiser, hi from Texas, Visser, Halogen Oven TV, and Sukhoi, and Scarlet Fire. Sustainability really means sustaining the elite as the priority. Not if we can help it. Okay, let's see. Jay Kirschman, just a power outage, nothing compared to others. Yes, we should all count our blessings. So we got William Berg from South Africa. That's awesome. Wow, this show really brings the world together. Bradley, Sukhoi, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anna came in from Gainesville, Florida. Oh, yikes. I hope you're okay. Just a little bit more, Dolly. We've got so many people here joining us tonight. I want to say hi to everybody. Kaj, hello. And Amadao Carrillo. And that'll be Grinmere and KH from Maine. And Keith Rotwell with a nice donation.
Hello. Thank you.
I sure do love you too. Thank you for all you do. Also from Washington. Thank you, Keith. We love you too. It's why we do these shows. It's out of love. And got Mark Petrie. Thank you guys. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
You guys are just amazing. All right, I better get going. Hi, Jen. CT Guitar Guy, you skipped me. So sorry. I do not mean
never
to
skip you.
And Pau from Ireland and Anderson Glenn, Norway.
Ooh.
Videos from the underground. Okay, I'm seriously in trouble now. I'm 4 minutes past time I've been allotted to say hi. So if I missed you, so sorry. Do get your questions in early because we never have enough time to answer them all. Metal Gear Mike. Oh, and I have to pop this one in from Glenn Anderson. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was so awesome.
Thank you.
Miller. All right. Before I get into any deeper trouble than I'm already in, let's get our show on the road. You guys, you're amazing tonight. I just have to say thank you so much. Tonight, we are bringing back Simon Domville-Musters. He's been on here 2, maybe 3 times, twice, and was really popular. He's had some amazing experiences himself, is quite knowledgeable on a number of different areas. We'll be discussing all kinds of different things from UFOs and megalithic monuments probably, and crop circles and Rupert Sheldrake and all kinds of interesting stuff. David Wilcock, Lou Elizondo's book, Imminent. He's got some things to say about that. And let me just tell you a little bit about him. For those of you who are joining here for the first time or haven't seen one of the previous shows, Simon resides in the UK. He has experienced UFO encounters. He's got some new information about that. He's working hard to research and educate people about the ET presence on our planet and the UFO cover-up. As he says, my interest is communicating and learning from ET. The other priority is, and this is a big one, saving us from the New World Order totalitarianism that is being rammed down every orifice possible and then intravenously. Finally, democracy in the purest conception of the term for which Socrates perished, as PR had not been conceived in his time despite being descendants of Atlantis. So democracy is majority rule, but with respect for the fundamental rights of minorities. And, this is an important point, we are all minorities in one form or another. His YouTube channel is called The Renting Revolutionary, and you can see the links in the show notes. But let's bring on our wonderful guest before it's too late.
Hello, Simon. Welcome. Good to see you again.
Thanks very much for staying up so late to be on the show.
It's a pleasure, as always.
And guys, we know we do have a little bit of a tiny echo going on. We tried to solve it, but we're just going to have to deal with it. So we apologize for that, but we are aware of it. So, Simon, how are you doing?
All right, thank you. Yeah, just moved, so there's still boxes everywhere. I think you can see a box on the screen. So, I still haven't finished unpacking, but we're getting there slowly and surely.
Oh, if I never have to move again, it'll be too soon. I mean,
Yeah.
Look at all those. I can't tell you how many boxes I had to pick up of books alone.
Yeah, I could. Yes, I mean it's unbelievable what one accumulates.
Yeah.
Really.
Yes.
So I don't know where you want to start tonight. Why don't you just, for those who know nothing about you, why don't you just introduce yourself a little bit?
Right.
And say, whatever you want.
Okay. So I've had 2 main UFO encounters where I have seen them very up close, in detail. I had one telepathic contact in Calais, which viewers can see on previous shows, so I won't go into too much detail there. And I've been researching UFOs, crop circles, megalithic structures as a hobby for the last 30 odd years. And now that I'm retired, I've got far more time, which allows me to read things and spend far more time on YouTube and other media researching and corresponding with researchers as well, which is also very useful. And this is a subject very dear to my heart because there has been so much cover-up.
Yes, there is. It's unfortunate, but times are beginning to change. We are seeing the cover-up slowly crumble bit by bit. So, we're not there yet, but we're getting there.
Yes, And it's quite fascinating about thinking about the UFO community, because it's quite clear that there is a concerted effort to put false information out there.
Yes.
There is a concerted effort to divide and conquer. There is a concerted effort to destabilize at every possible opportunity. And this latest book, Imminent, by an ex three-letter agency operative, Luis Alessandro. I'm terribly sorry, but I've just got past the third chapter, and the only word that comes to mind is pulp. I don't like his style of writing anyway. But basically, this is complete clickbait, sensationalism. There is absolutely no way ET is going to try and invade. They're already here. They walk amongst us. They've been with us ever since humanity existed. Why would they wait until we had nuclear devices to suddenly invade? I mean, the lack of logic is just unbelievable. Plus, the amount of generalizations he uses and reverting to the passive form and all sorts of, it is considered that, and all these other throwaway phrases. I mean, honestly, I have to force myself to read it in order to comment on it, because you can't comment on it without reading it. But I'm forcing myself, right? Now, when it gets a thumbs up from Richard Dolan, what is happening? I mean, seriously, what is happening? I've been following Richard Dolan for about 20 odd years, right? I can chart his evolution, and he's always had the intellectual humility to say, this is my opinion, it only engages me, this is what I think, you may draw your own conclusions, which he still does, but it takes second place over a very favorable review for a book, quite frankly, I don't know why it was written. I honestly, after 3 chapters, I honestly don't know why he bothered.
Well, that's exactly as far as I got, Simon. 3 chapters. And I am equally impressed. I'll put it that way. It's not saying a whole lot that we don't already know. There's quite a bit of speculation in there. I was really much more interested in his own experiences, which I understand there's some in there. I haven't gotten to that part. But his narrative is definitely fear-based.
Yes.
The title alone, Imminent, he says, well, you can take that as you want. And he clearly is pushing forth an imminent invasion narrative.
Which is a load of absolute, I mean, poppycock, and I'm being nice, right? I really am being nice here. There comes a point where...
Oh, we lost him.
Oh, joy. Well, I was just informed by our producer that we are having major issues on the internet, that we've lost Rumble. It's trying to put it on, but it can't. And my soundboard is telling me we're having trouble streaming to your destination. Is it possible the StreamYard was ended or deleted? No, it's live. People can talk to us. We're talking back. Let me bring him up again. And
sorry, I don't know
okay.
what happened there.
We're having network
my
issues.
Internet is working.
Yeah, all that clicking you heard earlier was my producer talking to me. Yeah, it's just getting weird around here today. Very weird. So
yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, it's poppycock, utter poppycock. I don't know why he wrote the book, except for clickbait, sensationalism, trying to reproduce the Orson Welles effect of the Martians are coming back in the 30s. I mean, give me a break. Come on.
I don't know. I have an opinion about this, and it's from my experience with government and DoD and all that, NDAs. No real agent is a whistleblower. There's no such thing. They're given, they're told to come out and to come out a certain way and speak the narrative at that. If they don't, their NDAs kick in and they're in a lot of trouble. And nobody with that kind of knowledge, high situational understanding of what's going on is going to risk their life or the family's lives or their friends' lives. This is not a joke. And when I say the government's quite capable of ending you, they are. And so when I hear whistleblower and it's a government whistleblower, I automatically, I have an open mind, but I critically listen to what they're saying. And in the last year, 2 years, it has all been a national security problem. Okay. And we've known that a false flag is coming, and this is what this is all about. And I'm just going to put it to you, Lou Elizondo. Call me, make me wrong. Show me that you're truthful somehow. Find a way to do that. And let's talk, because I'm more aware than you think. And I'm just curious as to why. I'll tell you what, I do know why. And it's just what I just said. So
yeah, I mean, you can't leave the mafia.
Right.
I mean, ask Frank Sinatra. They cut his vocal cords, right? So there's no way anyone leaves the mafia. And Mike Pompeo described the CIA exactly for what it was, which was the mafia. They lie, they cheat, they steal, and they murder, right? That's their stock in trade. So, this guy, for me, just like Richard Doty, I don't trust Richard Doty as far as I can throw.
Doty,
that said, I will
you're
listen
pronouncing that correctly, yes.
because there might be something to be gleaned from it.
Yeah,
Sorry?
unfortunately, Eminent is the #1 UFO book on Amazon right now.
Yeah.
And has been there since it came out. So.
Well, it was written to be a sensational, scary, clickbait thing. I mean, that's why I said it's pulp.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
ET has never, ever, ever done anything to anybody on this planet in a harmful way at all whatsoever. But what they have done is left messages. What they have done is shown themselves for who they really are to many, many, many people, and not the governments. Ask yourself why. They have been throughout history, all the way back to the beginning of all of our histories. They've been with us, and their messages are very clear. There's enough experiencers out there that are saying we're all in communion with one another, saying the same thing. Do not be afraid. We're not here to hurt you. You all have issues. You need to deal with them and wake up. And that's exactly what's going on. And the governments on this planet have an agenda, and it's not hard to think. And if you start looking around you, critically looking at the state of the world right now, because in England, you have the same problems we do. People think we're isolated. We are not. Okay. Immigration in England is just as bad as it is here. It is as well as Sweden, Denmark, Norway, all over the world, literally Spain, France. It's a problem. And it's because people are being moved around for a reason. And I want people to understand that the only way that this can change for us is for everybody to take a step back, critically think for yourself, first of all, and wake up, and then stop doing the bidding of your masters and think yourself through things and calmly. Don't think you need to run in the street with a bat or anything like that. That's not how we solve these problems. We just have to stop doing what they want us to do. And it's critical mass right now, literally.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, speaking of that, critical mass, David Wilcock, many years ago, well over 10 years ago, gave a wonderful lecture at Contact in the Desert, or one of those ET meetings. And he proved scientifically, which I'll get on to Rupert Sheldrake later on, who's also into this. He proved scientifically that the power of the postulate, or you could put power of prayer, power of meditation, right, is absolutely phenomenal. Now, in Thailand, they had a day of praying for peace. and they got 1 million school kids to sit down and pray at the same time, in this, all simultaneously, and this thing went viral, and countries like India also took part. So it started off with 1 million Thai school kids, but actually there were millions of Indians, people in Burma, people all around the whole Southeast Asia rim, all praying at the same time for world peace. And the results were absolutely phenomenal. Every single police force, not only in their area, but the rest of the world, reported a drop in crime stats for that day, but dramatic drop, which didn't mean that some little old lady somewhere did not have her purse snatched, right? But that same little old lady was not murdered for her purse, right?
Yeah.
And all the stats all over the world for that day, scientifically proven, scientifically verified, went down. Now, when we get on to Rupert Sheldrake, which I'll get onto later on, he talks about morphic resonance, which is basically one intelligence for everybody, and you just have to tune into it, which is quite interesting. But the thing is, it does also, under scientific research, bear its fruit very, very well. And in fact, he gave a lecture not long ago whereby he proved that the research into parapsychology is far more stringent and far more controlled than clinical trials on new drugs, whereby the people controlling are the people making the drugs. So, who's policing the policeman, right? I mean, come on. So the whole parapsychology field is actually, at the moment, in scientific terms, has a greater degree of integrity and scientific robustness than the drug manufacturers, who have been getting away with blue murder for far too long. Unfortunately, we do have people like Dr. John Campbell, who is on YouTube, and your viewers can look him up, who are calling these people out. And he also has a whole set of researchers calling these companies out as well. And finally, he's also calling out governments hiding behind stats, changing the rules for the stats, and all the rest of it. And he has done fantastic work. And yes, he's had strikes from YouTube, he's had strikes from everybody, but he's still there. And his following is in the millions, and quite right so, because not only does he express himself in layman's terms, but he's actually, pursuing the truth and not putting up with any of this BS that we are being fed. And we are being fed a hell of a lot of BS, which is why I started off with that book, because that book is full of BS. And that's the guy, Dr. John Campbell, yeah?
Yep, he's doing good work. There are a lot of good people out there trying to get the truth out.
Yes,
I watch him, actually. Yeah. He's in my subscription list.
Great. You're quite right. Quite right, Dolly, really. And I think, Dolly, when it comes to solar flares, if we actually had a day of prayer to get those under control, I'm sure if enough people, critical mass as you mentioned, all over the world sat down at the same time and prayed for the solar flares to cool it and just send us the positive stuff and all the rest of it, that would happen. We just have to get together and start postulating together. And then we could actually start communicating as well.
Wow. I'll tell you a secret. That our solar system, our universe, our galaxies is hardwired. In other words, it's a mainframe, and it has actions that it literally exists by. It was created that way, and so we're really at the mercy of it, because while you're in the third dimension, you're playing with fire here. You've come here to learn really hard lessons. And one of the hardest lessons there is to learn is monkey see, monkey do should not be on your table. Okay. Learn to critically think for yourself. Learn to see what's right and what's wrong. Learn to put your morality quotient up. Learn all that you can learn. That's why you're here. And the world is going to do what it's going to do to you while you're here. That's the karmic part of it, you know. We all will suffer and not be here anymore and or go gently, but we're not going to stay here very long. But the hardwired mainframe of this place does. It's reality, and you can't alter reality with your mind. Even ET knows this. They do not. They cannot. It is not. That is misinformation for anybody to believe that you can do that. I hate to stomp on that, but it's true. But what we can alter is each other. We can help one another. Our minds are connected, whether you realize it or not. We hear what everybody else is thinking in the background of your consciousness. And when somebody's being nothing but evil and sending you nothing but evil, hateful thoughts, it's going to absorb into your brain, your physical mind, and you're going to act them out. We have to stop doing that. That's why praying is so productive for humanity, because it helps us to hear the good instead of the evil, and we act on the good and not the evil. That's the lesson in that we all have to observe, literally observe. Because the world is going to do what it's going to do. It has cycles, and we are in it, you know, and it's just an exit strategy for our genome. You know, we come here, we stay here a little while, and we're gone for whatever reason, you know, and we come back and we do it over again in other places as well as here. We have to think, we have to be in reality, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, I'm tired of people saying that they can alter reality and that their reality is their reality and mine is mine. No, there's truth in there somewhere, and the truth is the truth. You can't alter the truth. The truth is the truth. It is the foundation of all knowledge and all things. And you can't have your own truth versus somebody having their truth. It doesn't work that way. We should all be in consensus with one another. You should be able to hear truth. That's why they want us to wake up. And we're so immersed in the misinformation that they've been spewing at us for centuries, we don't even hear ourselves think anymore. Okay,
that's right.
It overrides us, and we've got to stop doing that. That's why they want us to.
There's no doubt that prayer does have an effect. There's been multiple studies on this with people in hospitals who have reduced their hospital stay by a number of double-blind studies.
Not the world or the sun or what the sun's going to do, but us.
But
we're in control of that.
Here's an example which I think might be interesting to comment on, because I saw this. There was a volcanic eruption in Hawaii, which devastated everybody. This one guy had the lava go around his house, and I mean, it literally went around it. He had given sacrifices and prayed to the Menehune or whatever it is. I mean, it was odd. I am not saying that he did it or anything, but it was amazing. It was absolutely astonishing.
Wasn't his time to have his stuff.
It went around the house.
Yeah, it can happen. If he's on the high ground and he's got some, rock underneath him, it'll go around. He's very lucky. Yeah, there's a.
Never underestimate the power of the postulate.
Well,
that is my motto, definitely. And it's really funny. One thinks of something one day, casually, and then a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months later, whenever, the thing you thought about suddenly comes to you as a surprise, a total freebie, and it's wonderful. And it's like, also, it's really funny, because I was just thinking before the show, I must send Preston an email so I can have the link. And he writes to me and says, are you ready? Everything okay? All right. So you see, the thought has absolutely no time and space. And it does have an immense power. And it's not just on each other. We can actually influence the physical universe. The physical universe actually exists because we agree it exists. And that is something that, once again, physics is catching up with very slowly, but people like Rupert Sheldrake are on this, and that the physical universe is putty in our hands, in our mental hands, our mental and spiritual hands. The physical universe is putty. And part of the brainwashing you are talking about, Dolly, is also trying to convince you that you cannot influence matter with thought. And actually, you can.
Here's another.
Okay, whoa, I want to answer that. You can bend light with your mind. That's absolute. Okay. If you understand light technology, you can understand that you can work around the physical presence of the third dimension within the dimension, but you cannot stop it from doing what it does. You have to up your scientific knowledge to know what I'm saying, but I'm trying to give it to you straight. You do not order the universe, not at all. We are one infinite little teeny spark, each and every one of us, in the mind of an all mind that did create it. It does exist, absolutely exists. It can talk to you every day if you wake up and listen. But how you treat things, you have to understand that you're here to learn that your ego has to deflate. Okay. The human genome has an ego built in that's super duper Jupiter, and it can't keep continuing to do that, because that kind of misinformation makes mega egomaniacs out of everybody on this planet, and it makes them cruel, vicious, controlling, and all kinds of crap. You can't control anybody. The only thing you can control is you, what you do. If you learn to bend light, call me. We'll talk about that. Okay. But that's the only thing that your physical mind is capable of doing. And it can't do it without your higher consciousness giving you the energy to do that. And I have seen that. I know how that works. That's how we fly the damn ships. Okay. It's all consciousness. It's all psychic ability. And we here have to stop believing that we are in control of the universe. You are not. You're here to learn, period, the end. And if you don't, and you let your ego inflate you to the fact that you don't see the immense reality of it, and that the things that you don't know are going to hurt you really bad, you need to move forward with losing your ego right now. It's serious. And anybody
right. I'm not talking about ego here. Right.
Okay.
That is another debate altogether.
Yeah, because when people say stuff like that, I say, put it out there, prove it to me. Show me that you can do it. The day that you can state to me for a fact that you know how it works and how to make that happen and manipulate it yourself. Otherwise, it's conjecture, theory, and misinformation. Don't talk to me about it, because you don't know what you're talking about. You elevate your understanding, elevate your scientific understanding, elevate your knowledge before you open your mouth and say things that are not true, because it puts people down wrong roads. It makes them think they have power. They do not, because right now we're little people right here. Okay. And we're still in the mess where we're still hating one another and acting like idiots. We can't even control ourselves. And yet we're going to change the universe. No, you can't. You have to take steps 1 through billions before you get to the point where you can even bend light. Okay. That's what I'm saying.
I want to talk about this. Consciousness plays a very powerful role.
Yes, it does.
How we perceive reality, certainly.
Right.
And on the higher planes, you can absolutely affect reality.
Absolutely.
Here on the lower planes, it is a third dimensional objective universe. And there are people with telekinetic abilities which can move around.
Yeah, but you're not in the third dimension in those. Right now, you cannot.
But
okay.
You are
there are actually 17 dimensions, Dolly, mathematically proven, right?
But here's
it doesn't matter which dimension you're in.
I can argue the math all day. Trust me.
I want to make a point.
Okay.
There was a lady, I was doing research into human levitation.
Okay.
I found out about this lady named Helen Hadsell, who had levitated twice. And she did it through basically willpower. She tried over and over and over again, and did it twice. Now, it turns out she's world famous. And here she is. And here's why. She has won more contests than anyone else in the world. She says she has a method of doing it. And it's basically, she says she knows she's going to win. I'm sure this is partly because she enters probably more contests than just about anybody. But there's more to it than that, because she's been studied. There's something going on here. The power of consciousness does play a role.
Sure. But she's not changing the universe. See what I'm saying? And if you talk to her about it, she would tell you, you can't do that. She knows better. That's what consciousness does for you. It starts teaching you. And without that, you're standing there blind, saying anything and everything without knowledge. And
Dolly, we are all at different phases on the learning curve.
I know that, but you can start right now. That's what I'm saying. ET says start today. Open your mind, wake up. And it's possible, and there are ways to do that. And it means stop listening to what everybody else says and learn it for yourself. You prove to you first, then you talk to somebody else about it. That's the problem. If you hear what everybody else can do and what all their wonderful powers and everything, including me, if you hear me, don't believe a damn word I say. Try it. Prove it to yourself. That's how you do this. If you want to be good, the process of being good doesn't mean, oh, well, we'll just discuss it and we know that everybody can be good. No, you be good. You go be good. You go help somebody. It starts with each and every one of us on an individual level, and we have to begin with us, period.
Absolutely.
If you can't take care of that, then you're not helping anybody, period. And when people come and they say this, and this, and they throw theories out there like it really exists, it's infuriating to me because you're not helping anybody by that. You're giving them the wrong idea, period.
Now, it has been scientifically proven that consciousness does affect physical particles. And there's
that's what I said.
Library of knowledge on this, Dolly.
Right. A physical particle is protons and it is light. That's right. You're correct. That is the truth. But you have to look at exactly what that is. All protons are pure light. You're pure light. Every proton in your body is emitting light. Literally. And the fact that you can't visibly see it is because your eyesight won't let you. Your physical mind won't let you. Your consciousness can see it, but your physical mind cannot. And that's what we have to wake up to, that we are light and that there are beings who come and see us who know how to operate that on a level that is, it's like having ET visit an ant on this planet. Okay, that's the difference in knowledge and ability. And we have to wake up to that. That's what they mean. And yes, every particle in the universe is light. Everything here. The reason that we think it's solid is because we're gravity heavy here. That's why it's very hard to alter anything in the third dimension. It is so gravity heavy that those particles cannot act of their own accord unless you are the all mind itself. That I know can happen. The all mind is capable of moving that around, but not us, not at this stage. And you couldn't do it tomorrow or 10 years from now. Not at all. That's what I'm saying. And it's pie in the sky, bad stinking thinking to tell somebody about this without telling them how to get to that point. That's what I'm saying. See what I'm saying? Get it?
Right. Well, the guys can get there, but it is, as you say, a personal voyage and a personal trip.
It begins with all of us. That's right.
But it is possible.
The first day, go home, meditate, open your mind, start looking for the truth, turn off all the bad information, eat the right foods. Breathe good air, stop drinking bad water. These are all things that we should do every day. We should think about that we don't do because somebody told us it's okay. Go ahead, do this. It's all right. Wrong.
Well, let's talk more about Dr. Rupert Sheldrake and this idea of morphic fields and the morphic resonance in the extended mind. This is an interesting idea.
Okay. Very interesting indeed. Basically, you've done very, very, very good studies. Once again, highly controlled, highly verifiable studies. And it would appear that there is like this huge central intelligence. You could call it the Akashic Records if you like. And certain people have a facility to tune into this and use and exploit this very successfully. It also gets into remote viewing, which the CIA is definitely into and has very well-known stars in the field of remote viewing. But it gets into absolutely every aspect. And basically, it just boils down to, can you tune in to this central intelligence?
Yes.
And it really is a central intelligence, or can you not? Or to which degree? And it really is a question of, like, it's very simple. You can put it, you can basically compare it to the old-fashioned radios with the big knob, right? And you tune into the station.
Gotta find a bandwidth for it. Yeah.
Some nights you have a really good reception, and other nights it's a bit grisly and all the rest of it. It's very similar to that, very similar indeed. And the amount of people who actually have telepathic capacities is enormous. far more than anyone ever suspected. Far more. And these are absolute verifiable statistics from someone who is absolutely rigorous, who has the most highest moral and professional integrity. He cannot be, honestly, even his detractors now refuse to debate him because he's got
Well,
so
that's
much
good.
evidence.
Because he's telling the truth. Yeah, he's telling the truth.
He's
He's
telling
found
the
a way to
truth.
Oh,
explain
he
it.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's
this is a
Dr.
guy you definitely want to get on your show. He's really nice. His son is also a world expert on mushrooms.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, it's a family of intellectuals. They're absolute intellectuals. Shelgrave, I got at a very young age a double first at Cambridge. And a double first at Cambridge in those days was pretty big deal. But he was even younger than should have been to get that. And then he went on to American universities, I think Harvard, and did a whole load of stuff. But he's a biologist at the beginning, and he absolutely loves animals, loves plants. And his first job in between leaving school and going to university, he had a year off, and he was a laboratory assistant. And he had to gas all the animals that survived the trials. And he hated it, poor fellow. And the way he tells it's lovely as well. He's a lovely fellow.
No, that's horrible. I feel
Anyway,
bad for him.
must get him on because he is a walking encyclopedia on consciousness. I listen to him at least 3 times a week. I mean, he's got wonderful output as well. His books are fantastic, and he writes properly. It's a pleasure to read. This is
That's
not
awesome.
pulp, right? Or
Yeah.
sensationalism, right? I mean, we're down to brass tacks. He uses a vocabulary that is slightly above pedestrian, but not esoteric, and he does make it understandable. It's perfectly.
And he's in the UK.
He's in the UK. He does travel. He's often in the States as well, but you can definitely get hold of him in the UK, no problem. And if you go on YouTube, you'll get his contact details. He is honestly, I think, someone whose first book was actually treated as heresy by the establishment, and they even published an article saying this book should be burnt. That was about 20 years ago.
That makes sense.
Calmed down. They've calmed down now, and he's now being recognized and acknowledged for the real scientist that he is, and proving how powerful consciousness is, and the fact that everybody has telepathic capacities to a greater or lesser extent. It depends where you are on the learning curve, and if you want to develop those capacities, there are ways that will help you. All right. This isn't rocket science, and as someone who's translated plans from French into English of rocket engines, I can tell you rocket science is pretty damn simple at the end of the day. Do you know that they actually put something, they call it by another name, but they actually put something called that we use every day in the bathroom and the kitchen. It's bleach. They put bleach in the fuel because it gives it more boom.
Yeah, hydrogen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, and when you see the name by which they call it, it's fluoro, blah, 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 blah. So I spend, 15 minutes looking up fluoro, blah, 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 blah. And basically it works out as bleach.
You can run your car on water if you have the right setup for it, because water is hydrogen.
Yes.
And water is a byproduct of the hydrogen engine. Okay. And it amazes me that people don't get that. And why we're going to batteries, I don't understand, because we can just have hydrogen cars, no problem. They're not going to blow up like you think. They're very well controlled, and it's not a problem. And their only emission is water, H2O.
That's right.
So
yeah, well, we know why, because money, greed, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. You want to hear funny about cars, the batteried cars? I guess they call them what EUs or whatever. In Florida and South Carolina, where all the salt water hit all the cars and drowned them, they're all catching on fire because salt it attacks their batteries and it's a combustible situation, and they're all going up in flames. And the fire departments are like, "Oh my God, houses are burning down everywhere because the cars are in the garage." It's like how inconvenient, you know? How many people live on the coast? How many storms are there on the coasts? Think about that. You know.
Exactly. No, but you can always trust the psychopaths to find the worst solution possible.
Correct.
It is just everything currently is in the hands of psychopaths, which is why I left the building I was living in. Now, the building I was living in was run by a so-called charity, and it was meant for semi-autonomous people, which means that basically you can go shopping, you can cook your food, you can wash your clothes, you can, some of us even iron our clothes, right? But basically, you might be physically a little handicapped, but you can still basically do everything. It just takes a bit longer, right? Now, what they were doing were putting in people who...
All right, he popped out.
I know.
We're definitely having some issues today. The good news is that Rumble is actually streaming the show, and Simon will be back momentarily, I'm sure. And here he comes.
There he is. Let me bring him on. Hold on. I lost my cursor. There it is. Hello.
So they were putting... Can you hear me? Great.
Yes.
So they were putting people in there who was severely mentally handicapped. And the last month I was there, you have no idea how many accidents there were. Washing machines were broken, bathrooms were flooded, fire alarms were going off, I don't know how many times a week. I wrote to my MP, which is my congressman for the states, saying you have to do an investigation into how this place is being run, because they're just filling it up with people who are not semi-autonomous, and they are a danger not only to themselves, but to others.
Everybody else.
Which is why I moved, not only for the peace and quiet, because, you know, fire alarms going off at 3 a.m. more than once a week is, thank you, I don't need this.
A little bit much, yes.
Yeah, a little bit much, yeah. Not to mention people knocking at your door at 7 a.m. Oh, I've broken the washing machine. Or people knocking at your door saying, oh my goodness gracious, the ceiling's leaking water. And then you finally go upstairs and you find someone's, you know, flooded their bathroom. I mean, unbelievable, right? And talk about the asylum being run by the inmates. I mean, unbelievable. And no one's doing anything about it. So I said, right, I'm out. And I had to write to my MP to get moved, but I got moved.
Wow.
Right. Mind over matter once again.
Yeah, resourcing. Nothing wrong with that. Good resourcing. Oh my God. Yeah. We have issues like that in this country. Everybody doesn't understand that we have, you know, veterans who are homeless, walking the streets, need jobs, things like that. Then we have the mentally handicapped people, like you say, and then we have physically handicapped people. We have people who are aged and do need assisted living facilities, you know, where they have ramps and they have elevators to get in the buildings. You know, if they have an emergency call button for an ambulance to come in case there's a problem, that kind of thing. Those kind of lodgings and things like that. But it's turning into a nightmare because people are being displaced and disappropriated by exactly what you're talking about. They're putting in places they don't need to be.
Exactly. I mean, it's tragic, honestly, because they're actually putting these people in danger. These people should be in the right facilities.
Correct.
What's happened with our National Health Service is that the first thing that they virtually privatized was mental health. Big mistake, because, as you say, you've got veterans with PTSD. And look what happened after Vietnam, right? Yeah. And I know, because I listen to Judging Freedom and with the wonderful commentators they have there. Apparently, Israeli soldiers now are suffering from PTSD because they've been killing too many civilians and they can't live with themselves.
Yeah, well, this is a common problem among soldiers, depression, very, very high suicide rates. It's a real, honest to God problem. And this is because we are not running humanity the way we should
We're
be.
not funding things like we used to. We're running out of funds because worldwide.
You've got to send money to the Ukraine and Israel, yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
All right, well, we do need to take a quick station ID break.
Great.
So
and when we get back, we'll talk about the Galactic Federation, if we may.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you all for joining us for the Light Gate. We've just finished 1 hour. We're now on our second hour. Our guest tonight is Simon Domville-Musters. I'm your host, Preston Dennett. My lovely co-host is Dolly Safran. And we are airing live on several platforms, including the UFO Paranormal Radio Network and the United Public Radio Network at 107.7 FM and 105.3 FM at New Orleans, Louisiana. We are also on Roku, though I understand we are having some trouble streaming.
No, our producer just said it's connected up. We shouldn't have a problem with it anymore. She fixed it.
Yay. And Rumble is also streaming, so you can check us out there. And gosh, is that it? YouTube.
YouTube, yes.
That covers all our platforms. We've been having a lively discussion about consciousness and the ability to affect others and possibly the universe itself. And the verdict is no, you probably can't stop a solar flare or a volcano from erupting, but you can absolutely stop crime, help heal people, and perhaps win some contests. And positive thinking, of course, does have an effect. It's all about elevating your consciousness and your psychic abilities, gathering knowledge and wisdom to raise your awareness and learn here on this school of the third dimension and planet Earth about love and compassion, the importance of truth, and pulling yourself out of ignorance and delusion. We've been covering all kinds of topics. Sheldrake, we've talked about him a little bit. And Simon, I know you've had some more information about your own UFO encounters as well. I'm interested to hear,
I'm dying to hear about that.
But yeah, what was the topic you wanted to jump into? Oh yeah, the Galactic Federation. I don't mean to laugh, but this is a controversial topic.
It is.
So, what do you think, Simon?
I watch Michael Sala regularly every Saturday, and I really like the guy. He's very open-minded. He's a PhD. He writes very nicely. I've read some of his books, and I like how he writes, and I like what he writes. Now, currently, he's quite into a Galactic Federation. Now, I'm just putting a little parenthesis here based on my past lives. I know for a fact that there are several Galactic Federations, right? And you can look at them as the EU and the United Nations and other self-help organizations on Earth. Basically, they all have an agenda. Now, some agendas are more noble and more humanitarian, if you like, or spiritual than others. I mean, the thing that makes me laugh about Star Trek was that every week, without fail, Jim Kirk managed to violate the Prime Directive. and quite honestly, when I listen to the discourse, we'll call it a discourse, on the Galactic Federation from the people that Michael Sala is interviewing, I cannot but envisage the Prime Directive being violated every week by someone who thinks that they're Captain Kirk, right? I'm sorry, right? But there seems to be a huge problem of perception on this, right? There are federations that are umbrella organizations over other federations, right? And you can look at it like franchising, if you like, or you could look at it like the Senate and then the Congress and then the executive, right? There are many ways that you can look at it. You can look at it from a very spiritual point of view, in that slowly but surely they are pushing spiritual evolution in the right direction. As Dolly was saying earlier, we are here to learn, right? So which people do you send in for people who are quite low on the learning curve, right? We have a lot to get through. Now, this idea that there's just one galactic federation has to be immediately questioned. I certainly do not believe in suppressing anything. All ideas are good to consider, right? But there is no way that there is one and only galactic federation, which is what's coming out of certain portals on social media, right? There are several galactic federations, and you actually don't want to be speaking with the guy who carries the suitcases. You want to be speaking with the decision makers, right? And that sounds very exclusive or snobby or whatever you like, but basically there are those who are going to execute, but there are those who actually not only give the orders but conceive the orders, and you want to speak to the guys who are conceiving the orders, not even the order givers, right? This whole notion of Star Trek, which, by the way, Gene Roddenberry openly said in public, this is based on past life experience, right? Star Trek is far from the perfect solution, right? They just muddle on through very nicely with good intentions, which during the time of Kennedy was fine. The minute Lyndon B. Johnson took over, it was just an illusion, and it's been an illusion ever since, right? End of story. End of story. Right, so now, changing the subject completely, Dolly said to me that with reference to my ET experience in Cali, where the guy said, come to the window, I went to the window, I saw the craft, and then they sent down this swirling sort of electric thing into my room, and then off they went. And then when I went to the kitchen window, I saw the craft, and off it went. Before that, I did have an experience which I'd completely forgotten about when you posed the question, completely forgot about. So I will bring it up. It was, it started with a dream. And in my dream, I'm walking along in a nice environment, and it's, everything is fine. There's lots of blue and green around me, and I'm feeling quite happy. And then all of a sudden, I can't open my eyes. And so from the dream of not being able to open my eyes, I wake up trying to open my eyes, which I cannot open. And I've never had a case of such copious sleepy dust in my entire life. It was like it had been woven in between the lashes. So I managed to open my left eye all by itself, but the right eye, no way could I do it. So, and the granules of sleepy dust were far bigger than what my body normally produces. It really, they were like Demerara sugar granules. And it was most peculiar. So I had to go to the bathroom, And I spent literally 20 minutes cleaning this muck out of my eyes. Now, I didn't have any pain or whatever. And I kept them. And I thought, I'm going to get these analyzed. And I put a few of these granules in a matchbox in a drawer, which I then forgot about completely because at that time, one of my friends was very sick and I had to take a trip down to Bordeaux and all the rest of it. So I completely forgot about it. And it wasn't until I left Calais that I came across this matchbox. And in the matchbox, there was these granules of this so-called sleepy dust. Now, it was far, far bigger than any normal sleepy dust. It was really weird. And as I said, it took me 20 minutes to wash all this off my eyes and out of my lashes and off my face. And I even went back to my bed and gathered up what little granules were still there and put them in the matchbox and put the matchbox in the drawer. And then, a couple of days later, I had to go down to Bordeaux and I completely forgot about it. So yes, there could have been a visitation, but I had absolutely no conscious recollection of it whatsoever. None whatsoever.
And this was around the same time as this other experience?
Just before the UFO came to my window and said, come to the window, yeah.
Literally that night?
Not that night, no, about 2 weeks before. No, at least 2 weeks.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But
that was a knee jerk for you to remember that you had an experience before that. When you saw them from the window, that was them pointing you into trying to remember back. Because I know you can't.
I certainly didn't connect the two at all.
Yeah.
Which
some people don't. Yeah. Did something happen? You just got to try to remember what it was. And don't go doing it. Just hypnotize yourself. Meditate, relive it. See if you can't wake up to what that was, because something definitely happened to you.
Something definitely did, because those granules were far too large for normal sleepy dust. Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. By the way, we call this crap.
I blocked the experience out. When you posed the question, it didn't even come to me. It took me several weeks. Oh yes, I had that sleepy dust thing. Yes, I mean, it really took me ages to click on that. Yeah.
Well, that's certainly
so.
Interesting.
I do think that they do implant. I do think that they implant memories as well, which means that you do have to have a very good hypnotist. Someone like Carr. Now he was brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember Carr?
Perception is everything. We're capable of being suggested into things that never happened to us. And
yes, exactly. Yeah.
The alt governments are very good at it, and we have to be careful now because we have so much of that going on, and ET understands that this is happening to us as well. And so when you have an experience, you need to prove to yourself one way or another where that actually came from. Whether it was something suggested to you or something that you actually really did experience.
Exactly.
It's important to ferret it out. Yeah. It's all kinds of things going on. Humanity is being authored, guided, given information you don't know you're getting until it's, too late, you're experiencing it. And it's disconcerting to me. It's a problem. And the only way you can change that is by waking up. You mentioned the Akashic records before. One of the things simply that ET do employ is their ability to hear all knowledge all the time. They are, imagine, I'm going to use this terminology, it's like Twilight Zone, but I'm going to go there. Imagine, if you will, that these people are evolved not hundreds of years, not thousands of years, not even millions of years, but billions of years in advance of us. And that they have learned to connect to the all mind of the universe, okay, that they have absolute direct contact with the Akashic records, all knowledge. One of the ways that they govern themselves, or they don't need to, is because everybody's so advanced, so in consciousness with one another, so wide open psychic that there's no need. They've evolved every aspect of their being to become a type of community that automatically is already in communion with everything else, or consensus is my favorite word for it, not communion. We are capable of that. You're born with a pineal gland. It's a gland in your brain. It's part of your endocrine system. It can see light and dark like your eyes. It knows what time of day it is for you. It can't be confused about that. And it works really, really well. It governs our circadian rhythms as well as receives transmission from outside of your brain, from your consciousness, and you can transmit outside of your brain to other people. That's what psychic ability is. And your friend that you were talking about would know this. He's probably talked about it. We have a transmitter. We transmit in our own brain waves. Psychic ability is alpha, beta, theta, gamma, or delta transmission, and it's all over the universe. And we can hear it. It's sound for us. And unfortunately, when you live on an enclosed space with a lot of people and you don't have that kind of information available to you, and you're living inside your own head without your consciousness running the show for you, teaching you what you need to know, you're going to become all kinds of things. Paranoid is the first one. Deluded is the second one. Misinformed is the third one. Afraid is the fourth one, strangely, fourth. And then the fifth one is you can become aggressive over it because it can make you mean and angry because you can't get out of the shell because you're not reaching that which you were born to reach because you were born with the equipment. Okay. And it is amazing to me that we don't spend the first 5 years of our children's lives working with them on consciousness, letting them be psychic, letting them be who they are. We've got centuries full of people being afraid of this and saying, no, you're a witch or you're this or you're that. Shut up. Don't talk about it, and alienating them and emotionally, BSing them all the time. It is gaslighting in the extreme. It is sad to me that we behave this way and that we don't understand. We also have another
We should definitely be teaching meditation in schools.
Right.
I know we have a separation of church and state, but meditation is not religion.
Right. When you're locked into this system and you can't get out of it and you can't see the forest for the trees, so to speak. Okay. You anthropomorphize everything because it's always going to be from your perspective, how you see things, how you understand them. That's how we learn anyway. You have to start at the platform of that, right? You have to start from every point that you're at and then move forward. And it amazes me that we don't do that either. And so when I talk to you about you remembering, it's important that you are the one to do this. One of the first 3 things that I can tell you to do is to replay it over and over in your mind. Find 15 minutes a day to sit quietly in the dark, actually, because you can recall better when your mind is blank. Okay, don't give yourself any visual, hearing stimulation, nothing. And meditate for 5 minutes and then replay it. That's how eidetic memories work. We're constantly capable of replaying everything like a movie or a picture. You do that, and you'll start to get glimpses of what's real and what's not, and you'll be able to see the path that you want to take to what the real truth is, and you'll be able to throw away the trash and stick with the reality. Okay. And it's work. That's the important thing. It's work. We all have to do that for ourselves. But try that, Simon. You'll get it. It's right at this edge of your consciousness.
Right.
It's right
look,
there.
I am a great follower of Carr, who was one of the people who actually interviewed the children in Zimbabwe who were visited by ETs in broad daylight. Wonderful experience. And who all had telepathic contact with these ETs who were basically saying, look after your planet, stop polluting it. And the kids have grown up and they're still giving interviews about it. But Carr was the guy who interviewed them, and he's the sort of person I would definitely go to if I wanted to regress without any suggestion, without any interference, etc. Yes, exactly.
Well, the first thing I always recommend that people do is first write it down, then meditate, and do dream work as well. I had a missing time episode myself, and I've been asking to remember in dreams, and I've been able to recover quite a bit of stuff still coming in through just dream work. which is different from your normal dream, which is all over the place. This follows a more continuous narrative that's very cogent, I guess would be the way of putting it. But yeah, hypnosis does work. Absolutely. We know it works.
And you just have to have the right person helping you through it.
That's right. Absolutely. It's, it really is the difference between when did you stop beating your wife or did you beat your wife,
I wouldn't even ask that question. I would say, how did you treat your wife? What kind of life did you have with her? See what that had render you. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it really does depend on who is posing the questions, who is running the show, because the subconscious is a non-thinking entity. It has more hard drive than the conscious, oddly enough, because it's accumulated over many lifetimes, but it does not actually think, it reacts. So you have to be very, very careful about how the question is posed. Now, the reason I know that is because of Dianetics and L. Ron Hubbard. He did discover how the subconscious worked. He did wonderful work on it. And the reason the CIA went after him was because everything he was doing was counter to all their brainwashing tactics that you were just talking about, Dolly.
He was better at it than they were. I hate to tell you this, son. My father knew L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah.
Yes, I've had long conversations with him about L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah, tell me.
He was an author. He was a science fiction writer.
That's right. E. Doc Smith. Yeah.
Yes, and he was also good at the art of the con, but he was smarter than most people. He was what I would call a class 10 AAA, a person who could manipulate how you think any way he wanted to, and he did. And the Church of Scientology, as a result of that, if you knew what was really going on in there, you would go, oh my God, no. Okay. Because
Leah Remini did a whole show on some of the things that were going on there, but you got to tread carefully here.
You have to tread carefully around what Dianetics is. A lot of people don't understand that that's a type of brainwashing and mind control and manipulation, and they use it against them. And they have an entire class of people out here in this country who are Scientologists, and I'm not going to go any further than that, but they are living complete autonomous lives. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you have to really think real hard about that. And consciousness, your consciousness, who you really are, is who you are when you die. Your soul is your consciousness, your higher consciousness. And it does think. It's capable of cognitive everything. And it does. Right? And it is within and without you. And it talks to your physical mind. It's supposed to be in control of it. But you were raised in a world where that control was taken away from it. And you were given poisonous things to eat, poisonous air to breathe, poisonous things to drive and touch, and now poisonous things to imbibe. England, not as much as other countries. You all don't do fluoride like we do, but that's the #1 killer of your pineal gland because it calcifies it. Okay, and that's destructive for your psychic ability.
Yeah,
it
but
lowers
we
it
know
to
about
the
the fluoride and the pineal gland.
Yeah.
We know about that.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I don't.
The thing is, do you know what the engram is?
Yes.
Good. And you know that Freud discovered the engram.
Uh-huh.
Right. But what he didn't discover was how it worked.
Correct.
Right. Hubbard did discover how it worked.
Yes, but you're talking to an RN. I'm classically trained in psychology as well. That was my minor. And he said he did, but he was taking credit for something that he didn't really do, because they've always known what an engram is for years and years before. Freud was like hearing something and then spitting it out first and claiming it was his. I'm telling you that I will also tell you that Freud is a fraud. And I can give you 15 reasons why that I won't say publicly, because it's not good for young children to hear what I have to say about him. Okay.
Right.
It's insane. And he should never have been licensed. He should never have been allowed to speak. And they should have grabbed him when they could and thrown him down, ostracized him. But those who were in authority found what he was saying useful to them and their ability to overrule you, empower you. That's part of that game. He's one of those. Okay. And an engram is only as good as the person operating it, who with their knowledge base and understanding what's going on with that.
So for those of us who don't know what an engram is, please elucidate.
Technically speaking, it is when you have electrodes on your brain and it is you're being asked questions and it's marked what your answers are. It's almost like a truth teller. In other words, like when they hook
No,
up
that's
your rest.
completely wrong, Dolly. I'm sorry. An engram is a memory that is ingrained in your subconscious following either
Right.
extreme physical or emotional pain.
Yes,
And
that's
your
the effect.
subconscious clicks
But the
in
way to prove
and
that they
takes
are,
over
that's
and
right. But
takes
the way
over
he
as a
proved that
survival
it is,
mechanism.
I know, but the way
That
he
is an
proved,
one at
engram.
a time.
let me finish. The way he proved
Your
that, you can't make a
explanation
statement
is
without
off the
cold
wall
hard facts. I'm
completely.
giving you cold hard facts. The way he proved it was with EEGs. Okay, and you can't engram anybody or plot down what their engrams are without physically testing them and psychologically testing them. And his methodology in that was complete fraud. And it's wrong, and he should never have been allowed to go with it. And they've not since then. Don't use it. It is considered
Freud, you're talking
fraud.
about.
Yes, Freud, and fraud. Yes. An engram cannot be proven without physical test results. And they used DEGs. And he was claiming things that he could not claim. It is not true. It is not in the scientific record. And if you go into the scientific record and find it, try to find it, you won't. It is poppycock. And it is BS, misinformation and disinformation.
How about we go to some of the questions from chat?
Okay.
How do you guys, would you like to do that?
Okay.
All right. So these are somewhat in the past of what we were talking about earlier. And here's the first one, Joseph A. I've heard this theory, the zoo theory, that we are basically just a collection of genetics. Do you believe in the zoo theory that we're an alien zoo? I personally don't. What are your thoughts, Simon?
Definitely a big library, like the Library of Alexandria, before Caesar burnt it down. He also burnt down the Druid Library in 52 before Christ. He also burnt down the Druid Library. But yes, we are a big DNA repository for the universe, definitely.
All right. You have any thoughts, Dolly?
If you want to look at it that way, the universe is full of life, and all life has a DNA, and all our DNA is related from one end of the universe to the other. If you're alive, you have DNA. You can't exist without it. That is a known fact. All life on Earth is related to each other. All DNA is related. We're related to bananas and bonobos. We're related to the grass. We are related to everything. DNA is DNA. It is the key to how life exists, and it is universal. Okay.
So that we know. That's a given, Dolly.
Life likes to propagate itself. That's built into the DNA. Otherwise, it would all die and DNA wouldn't be alive anymore. We'd all be dead.
We know that too.
Right. And in this universe, we have plenty of planets just like this one where life is budding and it's evolving and it's coming to the fruition of consciousness and understanding and evolving. Okay. We're one of many like this. I don't see it as a zoo. I feel like maybe we're a type of nursery, if you want to tell the truth, because he doesn't look at us like a zoo. They look at us like we're their children. They're our progenitors.
I agree with that. Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. So.
All right.
Yep. Any more questions?
Yes, we've got some other questions.
Oh, good.
This one has been asked many times. This is from Keith Rothwell. Question: is it true that the ETs approach the government with some sort of agreements?
No.
Well, according to Stephen Greer, there is enough circumstantial evidence that Eisenhower disappeared for an afternoon, theoretically, to go to the dentist, but did not go to the dentist. In fact, he was informed of the agreement that had already been put in place behind his back, which was that we will abduct humans and in exchange, you will get some technology.
Not true.
Well,
I believe that
got over 40 years research, He's got 40 years research. He's got a website with 5 terrors of info, right? The guy has got some of the most credible witnesses you could possibly imagine.
There's no doubt that meeting did happen, but there was no agreement made.
There was no agreement. He was one of many world leaders at that time because of nuclear problems with us that we were contacted to ask us to stop. And he's not the only one. He is a president at that time who was in office, and that's why they went to him. He wasn't picked for any other reason other than that. And there were other world leaders. There were world leaders in Russia. There was world leaders in the United Kingdom. There was a world leader in India. Many, many, many world leaders were contacted and talked to about this. There was no promise of anything. We were told point blank by the ET that what we were doing is dangerous. And I can give you 15 point-on-point reasons why right now if you want to hear them. They also asked us to consider not killing ourselves with it. That's number .1 on the list. And we did not listen. And Eisenhower's actual reaction was, I have no way to stop any of this. I don't have that kind of power. And we think it is a deterrent. That was his answer. There was no détente, giving of anything. That would make ET pure evil. And they are not. That is not what they do. They do not take it.
Depends which ones you're talking about, Dolly. Because
there are people who want you to believe that ET is coming in a couple of months and they're going to level the planet and kill everybody. That is a false flag. ET's never done that.
We know that. We know that.
Yes.
But there are ETs who are not benevolent.
After the show, I'm going to show you some proof that will stop you thinking that way. Okay.
No,
I promise you.
There are guys out there who are not benevolent. They're either indifferent or they're somewhat.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who have stinking thinking on this planet and they think they're in control of everything. And they absolutely don't want you to know what's really going on, Simon. That's the point I'm making. Okay. And there is a point to that. There is something going on.
One race we are dealing with. That's the point I'm making. We're not dealing with one race. We are dealing with multiple races, with multiple agendas and multiple purposes.
You've been told that to make you afraid of them. It's not true. All ETs are
really. I'd love to be taken up in a ship and have a nice lesson and all the rest.
I wish I was flying right now. I'd go and get you. I can, like I said, after the show, I'm going to show you something. Okay. I don't show it openly right now. It's not healthy for me to do that. Okay. But you'll see the proof.
Well, let's move to the next question. And I don't know much about Kreskin. I've heard of him. He's a famous psychic, I believe. I don't know if you heard of him, Simon.
Now, that's very interesting. You should pose the question because one of my contacts is based in Sweden, but she's Russian, and she put me in touch with the YouTube channel or the equivalent, the Russian equivalent, with subtitles, thank God, of this psychic who is in touch with ETs. And if I remember rightly, Kreskin is a she.
A what?
A female.
Yeah.
Wrong guy. I met him when I was very young. I was a
I've got the wrong
guy.
I'm not speaking about the right person then. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Kreskin is a prestidigitator. He's very good. He's psychic enough to be believable, but he's learned many things and he's worked with the CIA. And when I met him, I was in college. I was at Columbus State University. Okay. It was first year there. And I went to an assembly because he was there doing with the audience one of his presentations, his shows. And I was sitting all the way back. This is a huge auditorium. There were hundreds of us in there. And he called out my social security number. And I sat there staring at him and I'm thinking, okay, now I am psychic. I am able to tap you at will. And I did. I tapped him. He was given my information by somebody in the CIA, who, by the way, watched me constantly. Okay. I did not go up. I did not raise my hand. I did not tell him I was there. I refused to play with that. After this presentation, I had left like 10 minutes before he was done. I went out into the parking lot. Well, lo and behold, 30 minutes later, because I'm just messing around because I live near the school, he walks out, I guess, to be taken somewhere. And I walked right up to him and I said, I'm the one whose social security number you called out. And he jerked when I said it. And I said, I am psychic. I know who you are. And I said, don't do that anymore.
Oh, wasn't that Uri Geller?
Yes. Oh, Uri Geller. Yeah. Isn't that who we're talking about? Kreskin is the same way. They both work for the CIA. Both do. Okay. And I don't, you have to understand that there have been CIA operatives all over this planet for a long time, you know, and they're out to play with people's minds, and they move information around for them, and they actually do counter, work on what people know and what they're saying. They're not okay people.
Definitely trying to control the narrative. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. How about another question? This is a kind of interesting one, which we've touched on in terms of consciousness. This is from Alfred Miller, and he's asking, where does consciousness exist, in our brain or elsewhere? It's an unknown ATM.
At the moment.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Simon. I'm thinking.
Okay. So, to answer the question,
you want to start,
Rupert
Simon?
Rupert Sheldrake has proved conclusively that consciousness does not reside in the brain.
Correct. It's in your chest, where your heart is beating. Yep. It needs an electrical component, and it's right in the middle of your heart.
The brain is
you have
just
an actual noid in your heart that actually holds it, and they know it's there. For a fact, you're right. Yep. At your moment of
where is it? Is it
in your heart? It's one of the nodes in your heart where it resides.
All right. Let's see here. Let's go to the next question. This is for you, Simon. This is from Rat Food. I like this question. I've got some opinions about it too. Question for Simon. Do you believe that we can create technology that can be bound to the astral? Anything seems possible there, including information gathering, technology to communicate with the Godhead.
I think if we develop ourselves spiritually, we actually don't need something physical. The technology is mental. So it comes from within, and you don't need a device of any description, no matter how fast the chip works and all the rest of it. You just have to work on yourself, which is a lot of meditation, it's a lot of cogitation, it's a lot of reading, a lot of research, and then it's just this thing about isolating yourself and learning to just to be. And then you can connect to the cosmos, definitely. Right. And we all have these moments. Even George Bernard Shaw wrote about the moments of unity with the universe.
Yes.
So this is not an unknown concept at all in the West. It's very, very well known in the East, where they do see themselves as being completely interconnected with nature, with the universe, with everything, which is why they do give so much importance to rituals and to prayer, because they know it does have an effect.
Yeah, well, I find it very interesting because I think there is technology that we're beginning to see now, which can, to an extent, and this is controversial, communicate with the astral realms, such as spirit boxes and things like this. And I think at some point we could have a technology developed that would essentially be like a telephone to the other side. But I agree with you, Simon. We shouldn't really even be using cell phones, because we can develop telepathic abilities to the degree that we should be able to talk to each other on purely psychic abilities.
One of the things that has happened because of back engineering is they know that there are entities that are AI autonomous. They're biological entities. They have no consciousness, but they are AI. But they're biological because they have to be able to do the work that we can do without being harmed. They've been made psychic. And one of the things that they learned to back engineer with technology is how they did that. And by the way, light is involved, okay? And one of our first transmissions of communications by light cables is part of their technology learning into that. Now they want to plant chips in your brain to make you psychic against everything that you were naturally born with, because most people here can't employ that kind of level.
We have the pineal gland. And so long as it's not calcified, we
Right.
can become psychic. We don't
That's
need
right.
these
But they don't want
implants.
you to know
No.
that. They have a reason for doing that, though, because pilots who pilot ET craft are very psychic. I'm one of them. I do pilot craft, and I use my abilities very, very easily. But I'm not going to go fly for them and teach them how to do it, and they bloody well know it. They couldn't make me if they tried. Okay, so now they're trying to find people that they can amp their psychic ability, like the AI, to get into those craft and fly them. That's the technology that they're developing. It is seriously not a good idea for two reasons. One is the craft are not going to allow anybody with that kind of technology implanted in their brain on board to fly the craft. And they can't build a craft like that craft to do it because they don't have the technology to even get close to it. And they know that as well. But they've got downed craft that are flyable, and they're still trying to get in them and fly them. And that's why they're doing this. It's serious stuff. And the reason they're doing that is they want off this planet because we have trouble coming. Okay. They want to be anywhere but here. And they think that they're entitled to it and nobody else is. That's the problems we have right now with all of the misinformation, disinformation, lies, and the culture that we're living in right now, because we're nothing but pawns to them. Those who control the reins control the path, and they have those craft in their clutches, and they want it, and they're not going to get it, because even if you can employ that kind of psychic ability, even with the chip, the crafts themselves will not let them in, period.
Yeah, I understand we have craft in our possession, the military, I should say, that we can't even get inside. We can't open them.
Right.
And some that we have opened, and
they had to kill it to get in it. They literally threw it in liquid nitrogen to bust in, and it broke them to pieces, okay? And killed it didn't kill the entity, but it let it out, and it left. And but they've got craft that are still intact, that are flyable, and they're literally holding them, trying to find a way for them to be flown by us, and it's never going to happen. I hate to say it. I'm saying it out loud now. I'm getting tired of hearing people go, "Oh, we're going to do this." Not. No, you're not. Don't even. You're not. No way. Keep trying. It's the only way for us to evolve anyway. I mean, any technology that we learn how to use, that teaches us things and it evolves us, but it's not just for them. It should be for everybody. Okay. If you want disclosure, everything they know, we should know. See what I'm saying? And it's unbelievably, incredibly vile evil that they don't do that.
Absolutely.
You know?
All right. How about we go to another question here? Let me see. Okay. This is a question for you, Simon, from Rat Food. What can you tell us about the sphere of influence in the morphic field of all conscious life has? Let me try that again. What can you tell us about the sphere of influence morphic field all conscious life has, and how can we humans use it to levitate? Okay, that's a mouthful.
Let's take levitation out of the equation, because even the Dalai Lama has told various gurus and other guys, never mind the levitation, you just stay in your body so we can enlighten enough people in enough time so that we avoid World War III and a nuclear catastrophe. So that's the first thing. Levitation is just a sideshow. It's not anything.
It's nothing you should be striving for.
Just about. And as for the consciousness, it goes back to tuning in. And the only way you're going to be able to tune in is by educating yourself. That's the first thing, which no one else can do for you. And the other thing is learning how to meditate, which is very difficult. And just being, turn off the hard drive, turn off the subconscious, and just be. This is very, very important. And that way you can tune in to the big intelligence, right? Don't worry about levitation. It's a sideshow. It really is.
Yeah, well, that's one of the advice the Tibetan Buddhist monks gave, because levitation is a siddhi, a superhuman power, like invisibility or superhuman strength, which they actually call obstacles on the pathway to enlightenment, because you can get caught up in the glamour of it all. And
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
It's not what it's about. It's about
Yeah.
reaching for full enlightenment and connection to all that is.
That's right.
So, not that I wouldn't like to levitate. Dolly, you're muted.
Yeah, they're doing it again. That's a second. Automatically turn it. You have to learn before you jump up on the high wire. You know, that's a given. And you can't levitate unless you understand everything that it means to be able to levitate. And by the time you do that, you're not worried about levitating anymore. You're doing other things. So
exactly, Dolly. It's not a priority. It really is a sideshow.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, I agree. Though, I have to say I would like to levitate. I just think it's cool. All right. I promise I won't get addicted to it or caught up on it, but it will be fun to experience. Here's a question from Van Darkholm. I'm interested in your thoughts on this. Is there any truth to astrology? What do you think, Simon?
Definitely, because all the ancient cultures, and this is wonderful, have built everything lined up to constellations. And it's not just the winter and the summer solstice, right? These aren't just calendars. These are centers where you turbocharge seeds to make sure that the crops are great so that you can feed everybody, which is vital. This is proper work. This isn't about sacrificing a goat and dancing around the fire, right? You don't move these fucking great stones, excuse my French, these jolly big stones, miles and miles, and construct either Stonehenge, the pyramids, etc., which are all linked. These things are all linked. And you should see the work of Howard Crowhurst, who's brilliant on this, and another guy who's discovered fantastic megalithic structures that have been hidden from us for years, called Paul Cook. Now, Paul Cook, you must get on your show, as well as Rupert Sheldrake, because Paul Cook is self-taught. This guy is a very highly qualified plumber, and basically he works abroad a lot, as well as in the UK, and he can afford to go on the terrain and spend entire days filming these megalithic structures that have been hidden from us, that are under tons of mud and rubble and trees, and it's quite fascinating. And basically, it's all, even if it's water treatment and how to evacuate used water and how to bring in clean water and how to irrigate the crops, it is all linked up to mathematical and geometrical formulas, which also coincide with lunar, solar, and astral cycles. And there's a reason for it, is because they're using natural energy, latent energy, free energy to help propulse the system.
Yeah.
Simple.
We're affected. That's right.
So get Paul Cook on, because he's brilliant.
All right. We've got
Howard Crowhurst. Howard Crowhurst speaks fluent French, and he probably speaks a good smattering of Gaelic. He lives in Brittany, where Karnak is, and Karnak is like megalith city. I mean, it's just full of them. They've got the biggest ones, they've got the largest ones, they've got everything, and the alignments are just brilliant. You definitely want to get Howard Crowhurst on. Yeah.
All right. This is more of a joke than a question, but it's cute. When will the UK start exporting crop circles? I'd love to have one in my backyard. They're all over the world, but you guys definitely hog them.
Yeah, we are crop circle city, definitely. Well, I'll tell you what. What you have to do is come over to Britain, go to Salisbury Plain, do a crop circle saying to ET, "Can you please send me a crop circle in my garden?" And they will. Now, this is a true story, right? This is a very true story. There's these scientists, mathematicians, physicians in an English country pub, and they are discussing crop circles very seriously. They are investigating it. And he says, I want the Mandelbrot formation, which is a certain type of mathematical formula, which you can also express in a crop circle.
Right.
Promise, for 24 hours later, the guy had his Mandelbrot formula in a field, not 2 miles from the pub where he said it.
Wow. That's very cool.
That is cool.
That's
So
amazing,
yeah,
right?
we can export the crop circles, darling. You just gotta formulate the right request. Okay.
All right.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Here is a question from Leah. May I ask, when the hell is this flash coming? Solar flash CME.
Oh yeah. Oh God, you asked Dolly about that.
It could happen any minute. It could happen tonight. It's coming. That's how soon. We don't know.
That's why I'm on the
There's no way to
Shiraz,
predict it
just in
yet.
case the flash comes.
We've had major. Our sun is in solar maximum, and it is popping off now. We're having X-class flares. We had an X9 and an X7 just the other day, and they luckily lessened on the way in. They slowed down, which is a good thing. But yeah, one's coming, and our magnetosphere is not up to par. And anything over X30 could down our grid completely. So
we got to start praying all together.
I wouldn't worry about that. I would worry about surviving with no energy, because that's what's going to happen. We're all going to go back to the Stone Age. We're going to be Wilma and Fred Flintstone, and survival will become an immediate, intense situation for everybody at the same time. And there are people all over this world that know this, are touting it and saying, listen, pay attention, pay attention. And the governments know it too. They've already gone underground. They think they have hidey holes, and they have seed depositories, and they have all kinds of stuff established for themselves to survive it. What you don't realize is that a lot of people who aren't going down with them know where they are. And it will become a problem when we're all starving up here trying to survive. We know where they are, and they don't want to fight us off. So we're expendable. That's what's coming. Pay attention.
Right. All right.
Well,
we already touched on this from question from John Schaefer, which is, how do you handle them, the ETs, trying to have you forget what happened? And how long did you speak of things after your, she doesn't use the word abduction, onboard experience? Dolly. Yeah, you touched on how to remember.
Fear messes with your hippocampus. It'll almost make you catatonic. That's why you're forgetting. And once you get past the fear and you're not in fear anymore, and you're intelligent enough to figure out that it's unreasonable for you to even be in that mind mode, you'll start remembering things easily. When you're calm and relaxed and you're in meditation, that's how you can remember, because the fear isn't there. One good thing about hypnotherapy that I will agree about, and it's important, if a person's fear is so overwhelming that they're not going to remember no matter what, that's when a hypnotherapist can help, because they put you in a safe place. They put you in a place where you know you're not going to be harmed again, that this is not going to affect you physically, mentally, or anything else ever again, and you can remember in a safe space. That's what it's for. And it will help you stop blocking the memory from, because short-term memory and long-term memory are a process of going in short-term first, and then you dwelling on it and it going into your long-term memory. If you can't dwell on it or you can't remember it, it's not going to hit the long pad at all. And that's where hypnosis it's still lingering. Your brain doesn't let anything go, but you just need to let it get from the short-term into the long-term. And that's why relaxing, meditation, calmly remembering with no fear helps you to remember. We're the ones. I've actually seen people on board who literally stand there catatonic staring at me. Okay. And it's like, oh my God, just calm down. It's okay. This is biblical. This goes all the way back to the beginning of time. The very first words out of any ET's mouth to anybody is, please, no fear. You have nothing to be afraid of. We are not going to hurt you. And
we're almost out of time, Dolly.
All right.
So I'm going to see if I can squeeze in just a couple of more questions here real quick. So I'm sorry we're not going to be able to get to all of these. Here's a question from Moonfire. Why are there so many asshats using military tech and underground bases to spy on civilians in their homes long distances and harass people in dreams and out? because they're nefarious. They don't have our best interests in mind. Don't trust them. These military folks, right? And
Yeah.
You're being groomed to be triggered. Understand, they're trying to start a world war. They're starting riots. They're starting, they're keeping everybody afraid of everybody. We're a society of human beings that think we're all different. We're not. You're Homo sapiens sapien here. We're all exactly the same. We look different, but that's not the same thing. We're one race of humanoids here. And they want you at each other's throats because you'll do the fighting for them. You'll take your own self out or somebody else out for them. That's why they want you to do that.
You have any thoughts on that, Simon?
I agree entirely with Dolly on that point.
All right. Is it true drinking a couple of ounces of distilled water once a week will help decalcify the gland?
No, it's dangerous. Don't do it. You need minerals to keep your heart running. No, do not do that. It's calcifying. What is calcifying? It would be fluorides, number one. And then there are other types of preservatives. Don't eat those. Do not drink distilled water. No, don't do it. Bad.
How do we decalcify it?
By stopping to use fluoride. No fluoride. Don't bathe in it. Okay.
And it'll just naturally decalcify?
Yes.
All right. I think
I'm very fortunate. I live in Essex, and very fortunately, we have some of the purest water in the UK, which doesn't mean that there isn't fluoride in it, but there's a lot less. Right. And the other thing is that it's basically historically agricultural. So you do get good fresh vegetables. You do have to go to certain markets and not the supermarket to get those. But if you eat bio, including meat, which you can, that's not going
not
to
GMO, right.
Also, if you eat fish, that helps a lot because it's got a huge amount of oils and minerals that are very good for you.
Helps detoxify your pineal gland.
Very good for you. So, you just have to stop buying at the supermarket. You will pay a bit more for your veg, but it's worth it. Your health will improve enormously. You'll feel it as it goes through you. It's unbelievable. It really is.
We're out of time, actually. So one yes or no question from Leah. Are there pyramids in Scotland? Yes, right? Pyramids everywhere.
There are pyramids everywhere. As for Scotland, I don't know. But they do have fantastic standing stones and fantastic megaliths in Scotland. Ireland has got over 6,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're actually out of time. Simon, thanks so much for coming on to the show. You guys.
Loved it.
Thank you very much. I love having you here, even though I sometimes get contested with you. I love you. Okay. You're very knowledgeable.
Well, that spices things up, Dolly.
Yes, that's true. Yes. Very good. Absolutely. You gotta have.
Said, I may disagree with you, but I will defend with my life your right to say it.
Thank you. I also. I'll. It's the most important thing we can do for one another is hear what we're saying.
Absolutely.
In a way that we allow each other to be okay.
All right. I want to give a shout out to all you guys who's very generously donated super chats. Heidi, you're amazing. Star Orchid, Bob Thorson, we love you. Louise, you guys are so amazing. Namaste every week. I just can't believe it. Sukhoi, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. You guys really brought it tonight. So thank you, Keith and Mark and Glenn. You guys are amazing. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. It was a fun show. I want to do a show with you, Simon, on just the megaliths because there's so many of them. Megalithic structures.
Right. We can do a show on that. No problem. But the guy to bring on, you got Paul Cook, who has even been harassed by the Maltese Secret Services when he was.
I know, I've heard that. I've actually heard that. Yeah. Everybody that you mentioned tonight, I want everybody to go back and replay it so you can write the names down. And y'all do your homework too. Y'all look these books up and read them. Everything that he says, you should verify, check, look into. That's how we understand. It's very important.
All right. We're pushing it, Dolly. We've really got to close it up.
Okay. Well, we were coming to you tonight from the beautiful city of New Orleans. Wow, we're sorry for some of our technical difficulties. We're trudging through them. We've had some things happen. We are the United Public Radio Network at 107.7 FM and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 FM. We are Roku, we are Rumble, we are YouTube, and we are Facebook. I want to thank Carnation for coming on board with our network. We love you for that. And we will see you next Monday. Everybody, namaste. Have a wonderful week. Be safe. And remember to help pray for those who are not right now. Night, night.
Night, night, everybody.